Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre, where we take a look at stories regarding relationships, families, and that sort of dynamics. So let's go ahead and get started with the first story. This one's from user Morosa3. I am currently pregnant with my first child, and both my mom and stepdad have been terrible to me and my partner the entire time. Told us we would be unfit parents because we aren't married yet. Legitimately screamed at my partner for knocking up their little girl even though we planned the pregnancy. I finally decided to cut contact with them a few months after I found out I was pregnant. Having a child can already be a stressful time, and having them around to make it worse was not something I was okay with. If they can't be nice to my partner, then they don't get to see our baby. Plus, they are the kind of people who don't wear masks in public and actively choose to be in large gatherings with no social distancing, so them seeing a newborn is out of the question. One day, I sent my mom a very detailed email of why she is not allowed to be a part of my life anymore and will not be seeing her grandchild. To make things even better, I also noted that we will be moving across the country shortly after she is born to be closer to other family members. So not only is she cut off, but we are literally moving far away and never coming back. She responds by showing up at our house at 11 p.m. screaming outside our door about how it is her baby and she deserves to be there for it. I tell her to F off and eventually she leaves. Months go by and she will text me randomly things asking about technical problems with her Wi-Fi router or something and needs help. Little things like that don't mean much to me, and I sent her the info she needed. My cousin also had a virtual baby shower and sent my invitation to my mom's house accidentally, so my mom came by to give it to me. Things slowly came to a point that we were fairly amicable with each other, but I still stood my ground about our boundaries and nothing else had changed. She knew this. Then she sent me a video today that blew my mind. She redecorated her entire guest room to be a nursery. Crib, changing table, $400 worth of newborn clothes, toy chest, stroller, a car seat for her car, and the list goes on. In the video, she is in tears, saying, "Oh my god, I can't believe my baby's going to be here soon. This is where she will sleep, where I will change her little diapers. These will be her toys." Is she psychotic? Her baby? Sleeping and living at her house? What? So I call her up immediately and I reiterate that we are still moving across the country soon and that she will have no contact with the baby before that. Her response? "Oh, okay. We will see about that." Genuinely confused. What part of "you will have no contact with this baby" does she not understand or thinks will change in the next few weeks when she is born? Is she planning on stealing her from us? I'm at a loss for words. So at first glance, this would seem like some sort of entitled mom that went nuts and actually had a psychotic issue or something of the sort. However, there's an update from OP that let us see a little bit of a bigger picture. So let's get on with that. Wow, so many great tips from you guys. Thank you for the advice. I showed my partner the comments I have been getting and I think we are starting to take this more seriously and will be contacting a lawyer on Monday. I wanted to mention a couple of things to clarify as well. I have been seeing a psychotherapist the past few months strictly due to the relationship I have had with my mother throughout my life, and all of that is documented. My midwife and hospital is also very aware of the situation and the emotional stress I have been going through. So we will definitely be utilizing this in the case she tries to sue us or call Child Protective Services. Also, due to what's going on worldwide, only my partner is allowed to be with me during the birth anyway. We will be keeping things hush until after we move. We would have moved months ago if it was financially possible for us. We also spent a lot of money on my birth center here that is non-refundable. She is due in August and our lease ends in September. We already have everything set up to move and our other family is helping us out. Just a waiting game at this point. My partner is my power of attorney if something happens to me during the birth. We are currently in a state that is against grandparents' rights. The only way she would be able to sue for visitation is if both myself and my partner were deceased. Even after we move, she still cannot file for grandparents' rights if she is living in this state. And there you go, grandparents' rights. This entitled mom was teeing everything up to try to get grandparents' rights. She was setting up a completely perfect environment for the baby to live with her, while her pregnant, unmarried daughter is going to a psychotherapist for mental stress. So yeah, that claim doesn't seem too crazy to make, right? It's a good thing OP did post this and she got help from the community. Alright, and now let's move on to the next story. This one is from user Light vs Dark 777. Some backstory. I'm in a Dungeons & Dragons group with a couple of friends from nearby. And one of the members of the group is a kid who was about 15 years old. He's a really sweet kid, likes helping other people out, and he's a big fan of Dungeons & Dragons. He also has cancer in both of his lungs. He's from a religious family that basically forces him to act pure while he's in their sight. The mom is WBC level crazy, while the dad is just a sensible person who just tries to get him to be a good kid. When he's out of sight of his parents, he just does normal teen stuff. Because of his mom, the only books he was allowed to own were Christian books and Bibles. He joined our group mainly as a way to escape his home life and his mom. A couple of weeks ago, the cancer in his lungs started to get to him, so he was taken to a hospital by his parents. He contacted me about this a day after he was taken to the hospital, stating that he wanted a monster manual as his last wish because he was tired of reading the same things. I bought him the book from Barnes & Noble, but considering that he's a dying teen, I got him Volo's Guide to Monsters and Modern Kane's Tome of Foes stacked on top of that. The next day, which was his birthday, he was still in the hospital, so I brought him the books as a gift. After he blew out the candles, we had cake and he started opening gifts. Mine was the first to be opened. Seeing what they were, he immediately got this humongous grin on his face and hugged me. Meanwhile, his mom stared down at the books with a look of pure disgust, with her husband staring at her with this weird look on his eyes. She picks up one of the books and relights one of the candles and holds the damn book over it to try and set it on fire. I managed to stop her and demand, "What the F are you doing? He asked me to get those books and I'm not going to let you take them away." His mom simply stared me down and said something along the lines of the books being sinful, satanic, and full of evil and that her son had no business with them. I retort and say that her son can read what he wants and that she shouldn't have to force him to be Christian. She starts getting red in the face and yelling at me about essentially forcing children to believe in God from a young age. I state that I'm a Baptist, which I actually am, and say that faith in God is a matter between God and the individual. She turns red all over and actively starts to try and destroy the books, with me, my friend, and her husband trying to stop her. At one point I shouted, "Would God want you to do this? To restrict your dying son's freedom of expression?" right in her face. This sets her effing ablaze. She tosses the books aside and starts trying to strangle her son, and her husband calls security immediately when she does this. Security get here within a minute of the two of us trying to pry the mom off of her son and drag her away, with her shouting that we're all catamites of the devil. Both her husband and my friend charge her with child abuse, assault, and attempted murder. Trial was almost a disaster. Me, him, and her husband all prosecuted against her. The moment she saw us, she tried to tackle us shouting something about divine retribution, but the officers restrained her. During the whole thing, she kept pinning the blame on me and him, calling us corrupted by sin. Needless to say, she was pronounced guilty of all 3 charges that I mentioned earlier. The moment she heard this, she went nuts and tried to attack the judge, but officers tased her to the floor. Now she'll be serving 20 years for the other 3 charges, with 10 more on top of assaulting a court official. My friend's fine. The cancer is gone from his lungs. Whoa. I'm all for religion and the freedom to believe, except when it's the cult kind of thing. But you can't go this crazy with religion. I mean, trying to strangle your own son because you think he's too sinful or a catamite of the devil? Something has to be wrong with that person. What do you guys think? Alright, let's move on now to the third and final story. This one is from user amrindersr16. So, some backstory. I own a Jeep, fully built, lift kit, ADD bumpers, the whole shebang. So one day, I'm coming home from work. It's a summer day, the roof is off, and I'm having some open top fun. Stop at a red light, and suddenly, screech and bang! I drive forward slightly and go back to assess the damage. And lo and behold, it's a Mercedes C-Class, new one on that as well. Completely destroyed from the front, and my beautiful Jeep had no damage apart from a few scratches. I went to check on the passenger of the Mercedes, got them out, and luckily she was unharmed. These Mercs are definitely safe. Under a minute after she's out of the car, she starts screaming about how I wrecked her car. I told her calmly that she was the one who rammed into me. I think she understood how my hitting her would be impossible. I offered to share our insurance details because I knew that Mercedes damage doesn't come cheap, but she said she didn't have insurance. She insisted that I pay her $10,000 in cash. How she got this number? I don't know. I said that was just plain wrong as she hit me and it's her fault for not having insurance. She then went on a ramble on how her kids needed the money and they had no money at the time, and now her kids will have to starve because she will have to pay to fix her car, and how it will all be my fault when they are on the street tomorrow. Yeah, on the street with a Mercedes, my butt. That is why you should have insurance. But no, she said that she would call the cops if I didn't pay her. I refused, as this is just dumb, so then she called the cops. Yeah. Cops came, assessed the damage, and asked us what happened, and she said, and I quote, "He backed into me at full speed on a red light." Shake my head. Then they asked me what happened, and I told them, and it became a he said, she said situation. Luckily, a shopkeeper was there and saw the whole thing, and even captured it on a surveillance camera. Needless to say, I came out on top. Cops got her for reckless driving and driving without insurance. She then started yelling at the cops about how they would just let a criminal get away. They explained that I did nothing wrong and that they would now have a video evidence. The partner of the cop came to me and told me if I could drive, I can leave. So I got in my Jeep and left. Never want to have a Karen experience again. Not worth it. Definitely a Karen, but hold on. This is not over yet. OP gave us an update because usually Karens love to go down in flames. So let's go to the update. So Karen read my post. Who knew? I certainly didn't. I just received a direct message from Karen in all caps as expected. She basically said that how I already destroyed her car and left her penniless and her children starving. I'm so over this. And now she wants me to take down the post because it defaces her. She said, and I quote, "You know this is illegal, right? You have no right to talk like this about me. You already wrecked my car that I have to pay out of pocket now for. If you don't take this down immediately, I will report you and sue you for attacking me." I explained to her that neither was her real name mentioned nor the place where this happened. The only thing mentioned was her car and how she was being a big butthole. But no, she threatened to sue me for defacing her beautiful reputation. How? So yeah, that happened. I advised her against this, but she said that she had my license plate number and if this post is not gone by tomorrow, I will be receiving some papers. I am not worried at all. She doesn't have a case as I didn't mention anywhere her name or any revealing information. At all. I also contacted the shopkeeper who has agreed to pass me the recording. The Wrangler and I are fine. It was built to take a punishment, and so was I. Well, there's one thing to say about Karens. They always pick the most ridiculous hill to die on. But when they do it, it's a show, isn't it? Alright you guys, that's it for this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, go ahead and click the like. If you did like it and you clicked the like already, why not press subscribe if you still haven't joined? And also, don't forget that bell so you're notified when a new video is up. And of course, I want to extend an invitation for you guys to go to the Lost Genre subreddit and join. There you can cross-post any stories that you'd like for me to feature in one of my videos. And also, if you have a story you'd like to share, just write it down. Alright, having said all that, I'll see you guys on the next video.